Hi, this is State Representative Doug Wozniak. I'm here with a senior moment and also with our chairperson of Families and Children and Seniors, Miss Kathy Crawford. So, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, you introduced, or at least part of it, was the Kinship Caregiving Program, or the bills for that. Can you start some comments on that?
Yeah, and one thing I want to tell you first of all, and a lot of people don't realize this, but Michigan is one of the oldest states in the entire nation. And by that, I mean we have more older adults in Michigan that stay in Michigan, not going to Florida to live and everything, stay in Michigan, more so than almost any other state in the entire nation. So with that comes issues, along with an aging population. And one of the things that's been brought to my attention for a number of years now is the fact that there are grandparents and other kin who are raising grandchildren due to a variety of factors. Some of them have to do with the opioid epidemic that we've experienced here in Michigan. That also, we're high on the list of states that are suffering from that. And other issues that grandparents take in their grandchildren, as well as other family members. So kinship is exactly that. It means that there's someone you're related to that takes in children from a family situation until the parents can return to parent their children, or sometimes permanently they take care of the children.
It's a little different than foster care.
Yes, absolutely, and less expensive too, I might add.
Yeah, well, I think it's always good to remediate the child back into a family situation. So the Kinship Caregiver Bills also form an advisory council.
Right.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and it's just, there's a lot of people that will be appointed to this council, but it's only proper and it's only, it's more effective if we find out how big the problem is in Michigan. If we can collect enough data throughout the state, all over the state, to find out what are there support groups, in the UP? Are there support groups in South Michigan, West Michigan? Are there agencies that are providing some services that we can promote? So this council is going to be tasked with finding out how big the problem is, finding out where there are some resources that already exist, in smaller communities maybe, and then also prepare a report for the legislature to find out what we can do to help alleviate some of the burden off of kin who are raising these children.
Is that what you call the Navigator Program?
No, the Navigator is a little bit different. The Navigator is a separate bill sponsored by Representative Liberati, because this is a bipartisan package. And his bill actually came as a result of the grandparents that we all have talked to that are raising kids that say, I didn't know what to do. I got my grandchildren in the middle of the night, and I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should become a guardian. I don't know if I should be a foster care parent. I don't want to be a foster care parent because I think my kids are going to straighten out and get their children back. I don't even want to tell anybody that I have my grandchildren. But there are real issues that affect these families. And for example, one of the ladies recently told us that she had her grandchildren. She didn't even know where the parents were. She'd been taking care of the grandchildren, and she needed to enroll the one child in kindergarten, but because she wasn't officially a guardian, she couldn't enroll the child in school. And a lot of times it's a health-related issue. They can't even make a decision without the parents' permission. So grandparents and kin are really in a quandary to know what way should we go? What path should we take? And there's lots of things they don't know. There's lots of unknowns. So a navigator actually would help them, provide them with facts about what foster care means, what guardianship means, and there's other layers of guardianship too. So, as I'm sure you know, being an attorney. So, so they need some advice, and they need somebody to help them find the best path for them.
I think when they look at grandparents, and an emotional response would be automatically say, yes, I'll take my grandchild, but the ability might not be there.
Right.
And the navigation might not be there.
Right. Yeah, one of the things that I heard over and over again from grandparents is, look, I haven't paid for school shoes for kids in a long time, and I had no idea. And they want to be in sports, and I had no idea how much just participating in a sport costs. And they're on fixed incomes. And many grandparents have spent out their entire retirement taking care of their grandchildren, and they're at a loss, and very often now, which is somewhat surprising to me, is you have a grandparent who is taking care of grandchildren, but may also even be taking care of an elderly parent. So, it's really the sandwich generation.
Right,
for
they
sure.
get sandwiched.
Yeah, for sure.
Any sense of how many kinship relationships there are in the state?
Well, since so many just are under the radar, that's one of the things the advisory committee will try to sort out. But we know there are thousands. According to a recent study, out of 600 people that were studied, 1 out of 3 of those grandparents were taking care of grandchildren. I mean, that's astounding. That's a triple increase over the last time they did a study in the 80s. I mean, it was a huge increase of people. And some of it is, let's face it, there's a breakdown of family culture these days. A lot of people are parents and they never marry a spouse, and there's a lot. What I see anyway myself is I see a lot of people that just are quick to abandon, when things get tough. If you get a teenager that talks back, well, let's just drop them off at grandma's house, there's that, people that are giving up on relationships more.
Michigan State University seems to have taken a leadership role in this. That'd probably be the best way for people to contact somebody to get involved in this.
Yeah, right now they have a program. There's a lot of, we're finding there are support groups for people around the Taylor area has some, in Southeast Michigan there are some support groups, but I would, if I was they do have a Navigator program and they have other resources Michigan State does. So I would contact Michigan State University, and if you are a grandparent and until we get this whole thing up and running and get the bill passed and the governor signed it, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. So once we get this legislation passed, then we'll be able to promote new services and new resources for parents.
A lot of information, good information, and I know because of the numbers of kinship relationships, there's a lot of people out there that are going to need this program.
Absolutely.
So hopefully they've been able to maybe get some information, maybe take that impetus and begin to contact somebody to solve the situation they've got in their family. So, another senior moment, great information. I was here with Kathy Crawford, Chairperson of Families, Children, and Seniors. I'm Representative Doug Wozniak, and this has been a senior moment.